In today's video, I want to introduce you to a concept related to the idea of energy vampirism, how it relates to narcissism, and how these concepts relate to our current culture that we're looking at today. So, energy vampirism. For those who are unaware of what energy vampirism is, energy vampirism is an idea that has cropped up specifically around the idea of narcissism and narcissists, in that oftentimes their behavior is energy sucking. It's the type of behavior that triggers you to have an emotional outburst of energy towards this person. It often causes you to ruminate about this person. And the idea with the energy vampirism is when you are caught in these rumination patterns, when you are explosively sending your emotional energy towards this person, that is them hoovering in that energy and thriving off of it. And that's the idea of energy vampirism in a nutshell. I probably didn't do it great justice. Now, what I wanted to talk about today is the concept of pendulums. So there's a energy pendulum concept that comes out of the manifestation guidebook, Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. And in the chapter on pendulums, he is talking about what are some of the major pitfalls that stop us from being able to manifest our own reality. And he brings up the idea of energy pendulums. And energy pendulums are just like energy vampires. They're just like the narcissist, but they're actually autonomous self-create. Let me make this more concrete so it's less. So Donald Trump, we can look at him and see him as an energy vampire. We can see him as a narcissist. However, there is a energy pendulum, a movement, the MAGA movement behind Trump, or even in a sense controlling Trump himself, that is autonomous. It is its own creation, and it is a combination of all of the MAGA energy, all of its adherents feeding this pendulum full of energy that is the energy vampire. It's sucking the energy. And if you think about it through the lens of what do energy vampires do, what do narcissists do, they trigger you emotionally. And if we look at Trump and our culture right now, what do we see a lot of? A lot of our emotions being triggered, a lot of ruminating, thinking about this man and his movement a lot. So not only do the adherents that are pro-Trump feed this energy pendulum, but also the people who are very anti the movement are feeding this energy pendulum. In the same way, the author actually listed Stalin, Hitler, and a couple of other historical figures as beneficiaries of these very violent, destructive energy pendulums. However, they, despite being beneficiaries, they were ultimately used by these energy pendulums. I bring all of this up to talk about manifesting your own reality, because the reason Vadim Zeland is talking about this is he is illustrating why we struggle to create a life in which we can be happy. And his argument is that too much, not just with energy pendulums, but not enough of our own thoughts, our own energy is being used to create our own reality, the reality we want to live in. We're allowing energy vampires, narcissists, and these energy pendulums that have so much of our attention, which is what we use to create our reality, where our attention lies, that's where we're going to end up. And with all of that said, I want to now shift gears just a little bit and talk about autonomy and the role that autonomy plays in peak performance, or at least the role that it's cropped up as far as research goes. And there's a bunch of research in the peak performance world that shows autonomy, your freedom of choice over what you do with your own life, is one of the number one indicators of happiness. So when they look at workplaces, places like, I want to say it's Pagoda, have a policy where if you want to go surfing at any point because the waves look good, you can drop whatever you're doing and just head out and go surfing. Google is a better example. They had, I want to say, something called 20% time, where 20% of the time you are on the clock, you can use Google resources to work on your own pet projects, and a lot of Google's best projects have come out of this time. Now, why am I bringing up autonomy? The thing about autonomy is these places, at least as far as the workplace, when we're trying to improve happiness, improve life, didn't have to add that much autonomy to these people's lives to see a market improvement. And so the reality is energy pendulums exist because they're effective. They exist because they work. We are all pouring our energy out in so many different ways. And when you're exposed to information like this, that is essentially saying, hey, stupid, you're letting these narcissists dictate the reality that you are creating. You're letting these narcissists steal your energy. How stupid are you? And I think there's a lot of room to be a lot nicer to ourselves, to be accepting of the fact that this shit works, this shit's effective. How many people have been through narcissistic relationships and have come out the other side just going, what did I just go through? How many people have watched hours of content on YouTube about narcissists and have come to the realization that their partner was a narcissist, and despite the unending warnings not to try and have these conversations with their partner, they were convinced that, maybe my partner isn't like that. Maybe my partner's different. And they try, and then they go exactly through what they were told they were going to go through. They go through this roller coaster of emotions where they're going wah, 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 on the narcissistic dance. And I think we really need to accept how common this is. Accept how difficult it truly is to be able to relax, not give in to astonishment, not to get sucked in by the energy vampires. They're good at what they do. And so, if I can make any point home about thinking about energy vampires and pendulums and wanting to be able to be in your own frame so that you can think about what you're grateful for and what kind of future you want for yourself and your family, start small. Start just by noticing when your energy's being sucked somewhere else. That is the best first step you can take. You can't always be thinking about things and just immediately cut all the cords off from all of these pendulums and all of these energy vampires. They're there. They're going to crop up. And hell, they might even do stuff to continue to trigger it. I guarantee you they will do stuff to continually trigger it. So it is an ongoing battle, day after day, to notice what it feels like to have that energy sucking from you so that you can come back into your own frame and not get mad. Don't get angry at them, because there it is. There's that emotional outburst again, and you're right back in the cycle. But be grateful that you've noticed your energy is going away from where you want it to, and take that opportunity to just gently shift your attention, gently shift your energy back to your own dreams and the reality you want to see come forth. And again, it's not going to be easy, because every time you do this, hell, you might try and do this, and in the process of even starting to do this, you might get caught up in another pendulum. And hell, by the time you're done with the pendulum thought, you might have completely forgotten that you were even noticing all this and gone on with 20 other things, and you might be laying in bed late at night by the time you remember that you noticed and you tried to think about that thing you were grateful for and wanted to manifest, and then you forgot, and then you just, I'm so bad at this. This is not easy. You did a good job just noticing.